Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the different bosses in Lies of P, ranking them from best to worst on this tier list. First things first, you get the Parade Master, who is the game's first fight, and honestly out of all Souls games, one of the better first bosses because it really teaches you the mechanics of blocking in this game, which is very helpful for later on. While he does have some relatively stale movements, he's the first boss in the game. It's not supposed to be like soul-crushingly difficult to defeat. It's more or less just kind of like, this is what the game's like. Get used to it. I beat this one on stream and it was a lot of fun. And even around in New Game Plus, a lot of fun as well. Next, we have Champion Victor. I want to put Victor in the B tier. I think that there was, after fighting the King of Puppets and Romeo, this one just didn't have the same shine. And I found this one to be relatively easy. It only took me 2 attempts. Not a bad boss fight, but just another big burly boss that doesn't really have much going for it. So next, we got the Puppet of the Future, which I'm going to put in the C tier. There's a few of these that we can fight in the game. There's one near the start of the game in the Venigi works, but there's 2 later on, and they aren't too difficult. The reason being, they're slow. You can get your hits in really easy, dodge roll out whenever it's starting to spin its arms around. They don't pose much of a challenge, but I guess they're not an F tier boss. Next, we got the Corrupted Parade Master, which, similar to the Parade Master, just not the same kind of level of hype. With the Parade Master, you don't have much going for you. You only got a choice of 3 weapons and you have to take them down. With the Corrupted Parade Master, he's just, I don't know, he's missing something. It just doesn't have the same shine that the first one had, but still a decent boss overall. Next, we got the Door Guardian. I think this is one of the few F tier bosses in this game. It wasn't fun. It was just more or less a roadblock, and the amount of electric damage that he did was just overall annoying. I didn't really enjoy this boss fight, to be fair. Like, I think this was the least enjoyable of all the bosses, and that might just be my opinion, but that's what I think of this boss. So you let me know in the comments what you think. But next, we got the Elder of the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. I'm going to put this one up in the A tier, and reason being is it was a fun fight. It was a 4v1, and that was quite challenging at the time. You don't have some of the weapons that make this fight easier, like the Puppet Ripper, so they became a true challenge. It really makes sense to use a Spectre here if it's your first time and you're having some struggles, because there's a lot of aggro to manage. So yeah, you just really want to focus on the Elder Brother in this as much as possible to make this fight a little bit easier. Next, we got the Fallen Archbishop Andreas. This is, I guess, phase 2 of the boss. I don't think it is phase 1, so this is probably all of it together. I want to put it in the B tier. This boss annoyed me. It was the one wall that I faced in the entire game until you get to the end of the game where there's some difficult bosses. But the difficulty was that it had such a huge amount of health in both its phases. Now, I think that they changed some things. They released a new patch, so my experience was with the unpatched game. But yeah, it does have a lot of health. You can use a lot of fire and take it down relatively easy, though, so yeah, on the second phase, focus on the backside, and it'll be pretty much the same fight that you had in phase 1. Next, we got the Green Monster of the Swamp. I thought this was a pretty fun fight. I'm going to put that in the, A tier. It was a great fight because you got not only one full health bar, but you got a second one, and it was quite a challenge, but it was a cool arena. I think it was a pretty decent boss fight overall. I didn't struggle too much with it. I think it gave me 3 or 4 deaths, but it was fun too. So yeah, that's where I'm going to put that. Next, we got the King of Puppets. I'm putting that in the S tier, and I'll search out, where's it, Romeo? I want to put them in the S tier. I think that they were a pretty fun boss, to be honest, just due to the sheer size of the King of Puppets. And then after you beat him, you go against Romeo, and just the lore behind it made it so much more special and challenging of a fight. You go from this big tanky brute to someone similar to your size with a Reaper, and it was really, really challenging. But I think it was one of the most fun boss fights. It had a cool arena too. Just overall, really fun fight. Next, we got Black Cat, which, I don't know, most of the humanoid fights in this game are not too challenging. I'll put it in the B tier. It wasn't anything that gave me any struggle. I beat it first attempt. I didn't have the gold fruit to fend it off, but yeah, not too challenging. Next, we have the King's Flame Fuoco. I want to put this in this A tier as well. This was a challenging boss at first as well. You got to use the electric coil if it's your first run through because the electric damage does a lot of damage to it. But one thing that helped me is getting the throwing cells and just spamming those at it. It makes it so much easier just to take down its health bar without even getting close to it. Next, we got Laxasia the Complete. Now, I might catch some flack for this. A lot of people seem to hate this boss. I'm throwing in the S tier. I think that was a really good challenge. My favorite part of this boss fight is in the second phase when she starts hucking those electricity beams at you and you can go bing, bing, bing and shoot them right back at her to deal damage. It gave me vibes of Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda game. Whenever you fight Ganon, you have to reflect the lightning. So, I don't know. I really like this boss fight, although it was quite challenging. I've heard it's really brutal in New Game Plus, so I'm excited to get there soon. But, yeah, next we got the Mad Clown Puppet. This one was okay. I think I'll put it in the B tier as well. What I liked about it is you can take it back to the spawn area and kind of cheese it back there. There's some areas you can hit it through the wall, so it makes it a lot easier. And if you really struggle with it, you can go beat Romeo, get the Puppet Ripper, and use the charged R2 or the charged heavy attack and hit this thing through walls. So not too difficult, but it was kind of fun. Clowns, I don't like clowns, but I like getting rid of them in games. Next, we got the Mad Donkey. He was an easy fight. I didn't struggle with this one at all. You can backstab really easy on this guy. It was a trivial fight, in all honesty. I thought it was kind of an easier than it should be boss. And then you rescue Geppetto. So, yeah. Next, we got the White Lady. Now, I'm putting this S tier. I think the White Lady was one of the coolest fights. Not only do you fight it in a cool setting, there's an arena, but also, while you're fighting it, there's that beautiful music that's playing while you fight it. Everything about this fight was really fun, and I think that this was a masterpiece of a boss fight. It's not a difficult fight, but it's a fun one. The music is great, the setting is great, and the story. If you look into the lore behind it, the White Lady and you meet another lady up ahead in Romeo's area. It's really cool, the lore. So if you got interest in that, I recommend looking it up. Next, we got the Nameless Puppet. I'm putting this one in the S tier too. This is a difficult fight, but I think it was better than Simon Manus, so that says something. This is the true final boss in the game. Parrying is your best friend when it comes to this weapon. He has some attacks that are pretty easy to read. So yeah, use the grindstone for perfect parries and it'll make it a lot easier, but overall pretty fun boss fight. I enjoyed fighting the Nameless Puppet despite it being kind of a tragic end to the story. Next we got the Owl Doctor. I think that's a C tier. Another easy fight that it didn't feel like it was a fight. Next we got the Corrupted Green Monster, or the Puppet Devouring Green Monster. Kind of the same thing as the Green Monster's Swamp. These were challenging fights that they were kind of fun and interesting in the way that it went. So I'm going to put that in the A tier. Next we got the Red Fox. I think Black Cat and Red Fox were some of the better boss fights. You don't have to fight them, but you may as well. They're two easy boss fights near the end of the game. Can give you some ergo to help level up so that you don't struggle as much as you go against the final boss of the game. Next, we got Gross Ugly Weasel Man. I'm just gonna put him C tier. He was gross and weak, and I don't like his outfit that much, so it just felt like a weak fight. Overall, wasn't that hard. Next, we got the Corrupted Watchman. I'm going to put that up in the A tier as well. This was a very challenging fight at first when I was still learning the mechanics of the game. That grab attack really annoys me, where he grabs you, smash, looks at you, smashes again. I think that was so annoying, but in a fun way annoying, I guess. It didn't prove to be too much of a challenge, but it was a good challenge at the start of the game. Next, we got Simon Manus, Hand of God. I'll put it in the B tier. I don't think this fight was well balanced, in all honesty. They might have updated that in the patch 1.2, but yeah, he had a crazy health bar. He can one-shot you with some of his attacks. He can give you disruption, which can kill you, so you have to bring items to prevent that, or just dodge those little spirit blasts that he does. It was a challenging boss fight that I just don't think was fun to necessitate the difficulty, whereas Nameless Puppet's difficult but also fun. So that's my thoughts on that boss there. Next, we got the Survivor. I think the Survivor is probably the best humanoid fight in the game. It's in small, close quarters. He's fast. You can get a lot of backstabs in if you roll towards him. So there's a lot of ability to cheese this boss. I think he was a fun fight overall. Probably the best humanoid fight in the whole game. If you don't count the Nameless Puppet as the humanoid because he's a puppet. Next, we got the Atoned. I think another weak fight. I did this one today in New Game Plus. Nothing to really get excited over. It was just another weak boss. Humanoid. But finally, we got ourselves the Black Rabbit Brotherhood in the fight number 2. I think the second fight was really good. I'm going to put it in the S tier. It was fun. The reason being, you got You have 4 of them coming after you with all different types of elemental attacks, like there's fire, electricity, acid, and then on top of all of that, you also got the corrupted brother that comes back to life. So they were tough. You have to beat all 4 of them, and at this point in the game, it wasn't too difficult. I used the Puppet Ripper, which is a really good charged heavy attack, which can attack all of them at once with the whip. So it made it a lot easier. And the final one here, the Awakened Walker of Illusions, I think it was called. It was kind of forgettable. I didn't even realize it was a boss. It's in a big room near the end of the game. I just didn't find that fight to be overly fun, and I didn't even realize it was really a boss. I thought it was a mini boss. So when I found out it was a boss, I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But there it is. That's my list of the best boss fights in Lies of P. Hope you found this video fun, useful, or if you want to comment, let me know where you'd rank these. I'm always curious because everyone's got a different interpretation of games like this and different playstyles. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.